I'm your host. Thank you for tuning in today. Look, make sure you download the app either from Google or iTunes. It's free. Yes, free. If it's free, it's for me, and, well, it's for you too. Or go to therudogshow.com and download the appropriate app for your phone, whether you believe in Apple's or Google's. Either way, both apps are available for you. You can also tune in to Facebook Live right now because that is where I'm at. Thanks for tuning in. We have a great show for you today. And look, everybody is looking on the ground in front of them right now. If you don't, you probably should be, because that's where your bracket is. Broken all over the floor. Forget about the rest, because the NCAA hardwood was witnessed by more than just viewers with this bracket looking very dismal. Duke lost to a gritty, hard-nosed South Carolina Gamecock team. And when I watched this game yesterday from end to end, I thought to myself, okay, Duke has been doing this so well all season long. But I had mentioned in a precursor to a constituent of mine, I said, look, Duke has lost games during the regular season they shouldn't have lost. But they did. This is not a Coach K team that you look at and say, well, this is the team I thought they were. No, the answer to that is no, they're not. They're not the team that you thought they were. They're not the team they are now. So what happens next year? I don't know. We're going to find out. But when you watch the errors that were made, very uncharacteristic ones, I must admit, and when you watch an overly well-coached team, as Coach Krzyzewski has done year in, year out, you think of mishandled balls, key possessions with poor shot selection, missing the open shot, open jumpers. It was just a mess, but very uncharacteristic to say the least. Look at the opposite of how winning changes mindset. When you're part of a winning team, it mentally changes that dimension. Your emotions rise, but the next step is upon you, and it's up to you to make the most of the opportunity. Of course, welcome my next guest, who's involved in not only moving on to the next step in the 2017 NFL draft process, not only professionally, but personally as well. When you prepare to acquire the next level, not only from an athletically high and or personal high, you have to welcome someone who's 6'1", 218 pounds, strong safety, or hybrid of sorts. If you like those kind of guys, I personally do, because hybrids show the versatility, enabling them to get into plays and disrupting plays as they develop a lot sooner than later. He's an outside linebacker, strong safety, split right down the middle, 218 pounds, not only a playmaker on the field, but has a sport lineage to back him up, and he has an opportunity to place a bid in the forthcoming NFL draft. His versatility and overall mentality comes from parents who have helped him, assisted him, overall becoming one of the reasons why he's able to succeed as he is right now. Welcome, Jalen Williams-Luke, outside linebacker, strong safety, to the Rude Dog Show. Welcome, Jalen. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Thank you for taking your afternoon out, basically to talk about the draft, your experience, your parental lineage of athleticism. We're certainly going to go into that as well. Look, you're from Birmingham, Alabama. You're a native entering Ramsey High School, where you excelled, propelled into a high-profile, all-conference wide receiver. What types of training were you involved in as you received help from Coach Ruben Nelson while attending Ramsey High School?
Well, actually, I started off playing basketball, and it was my first year. What many people don't know is my senior year was our first year having a football team in over 30 years. And my coach, he had came and told me, he was like, hey, Jalen, I want you to come out. I think you help our team out. And it just so happened that, once I really got back into the groove of things, things just started taking off. I ended up, just doing unbelievable things for a one-year player, scoring, at least 2 touchdowns a game, over 10 tackles, 100 yards a game. It was just amazing.
Well, you excelled. I didn't know you played basketball. So why did you change? Was there, you just wanted to take a new opportunity? Was it something new? Because your mom had played college basketball at Alabama. Was it just, because your dad played football, so you are athletically gifted in both aspects. What was it about football that had taken over your passion to play instead of playing basketball?
Well, football was always my first love. The thing that happened was going into my my freshman year in high school, I was playing football in junior high school, and I had a season-ending injury. I lacerated my liver, and I was in ICU for maybe like 3 to 4 weeks. And my doctors were telling me that, hey, you really don't need to play football anymore anytime soon. And so that kind of made me decide to go to Ramsey High School because, that made my parents make me want to go to Ramsey High School because they had a great basketball program and they didn't have football, and I was thinking that I wasn't going to play again anyway. So that kind of happened.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I'll be honest with you. I have a pretty good 3-point shot. I'm pretty good throwing the football. I could have gone either way myself, but instead, I'm here behind a microphone. That's the only thing that I'll be holding. And I'm not really holding it. It's just, propped there. It's just kind of there. So football wasn't just kind of there for you. When you think of the training, the passion, the drive, the desire, from coming from an athletic family, that really plays a role into repetitions, understanding the cardio aspect, getting your muscles in shape, making sure that everything is starting to work for you. What was it about playing football? Because you did have a mentor involved in the entire process, but what was it about playing football with a mentor on your side that helps you mentally moving forward?
What was it about football? Honestly, it was just my love and passion for the game. This is something that I always wanted to do as a kid. And so that itself drove me, to push past, all the trials and tribulations that I knew I would go through. I knew that going into my senior season that it would be unlikely for me to get a scholarship, for me being on the first year team and not having, 3-4 years experience. And so with that, it was just, countless hours, put into it, whether it was waking up at, 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning before school, getting some extra work in, trying to catch up with everyone else in the nation. Because that's who I was competing against, everyone else in the nation, not just, just my Birmingham City School area. So that's kind of what kind of motivated me to get up and, grind and, chase this dream.
Did people push you to excel? Was it something you taken upon yourself based on what you had seen growing up from your dad and your mom that enabled you to push forward?
Yes, sir. Definitely. Because I'm friends with countless amounts of athletes and things of that sort. And so when you see your friends, when you see them going out and getting scholarships and things of that sort, and when you see your parents, they reach a certain level of success as far as athletics goes, that kind of drove me to go even further. And then I had my coach and my trainer, Otis Leverett, that they would tell me, I had the potential, to do something special. That itself was kind of drove me to go ahead and try to get this thing done.
How much of what you were taught allowed you to further understand what it took to take the game seriously?
Based off what I was taught from my parents and from my coaches, and not even my basketball coaches, that they always preached about mental toughness and finishing through the line, not even finishing through the line, finishing past the line, and just being mentally tough. That kind of just that was the main thing that drove me and kind of guided me throughout all the things that I went through that year.
Well, there's always processes. Everybody understands that there are processes to get you to the next level, and you certainly had a leg up, considering not every kid who comes from any given family understands what it takes to drive, to have the passion, to have, and especially having a mentor to surround you certainly played a viable role. and how you were able to take the game seriously. Not only the game itself, but the steps, the workouts, the routines, the mentality, the passion. Putting all that together certainly has a lot to do with putting pressure on yourself to perform and excel at levels that you had never recognized before. Would that be accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what words of wisdom do you consider to be something that resonated within you as you exited Ramsey High School?
It's my favorite quote. And my dad, he told me this ever since I was, 7, 6 years old. It's the thing that he always preaches to me is that you're the key to your success or failure. And so I took that and I ran with it. Even going into my freshman year at college, I knew that, I was going to be going against, numerous odds. You had guys who were, had been playing all 4 years, were all conference, all types of things of that sort. And, I just knew that, that it wasn't going to be on what they did or what any coach did. Everything that I achieved and that I was going to come past was going to be because of what I did. I was going to be the key to my success or my failure. And that's what I still live by today. So that's why I'm constantly grinding every day. If I'm not in the weight room or I'm not on the field, I'm on the computer, watching film, trying to perfect my craft.
When you talk about perfection, sometimes we're talking about pressure, and sometimes it's undue. Sometimes we get people around in our circle that help, sometimes help, I'll put that lightly, sometimes help, sometimes not really help, more like hinder the process of growth. Have you realized that you had to handle and administer that type of pressure to where it doesn't interfere or over exceed your own personal expectations moving forward?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've dealt with a great amount of that.
Have you found the balance between those two?
Yes, sir. I have, because I'm leaving it all, and I'm a very religious person, and so right now I'm at a point where I just leave it all to God, and I just let my faith and my faith in Him just kind of carry me out through this whole process, and I don't worry about what this person says, what this person is expecting out of me. I just trust the work that I put in, and I don't worry about anything else.
Yeah, sometimes you really have to put on the blinders, put on the earpieces to block out the noise, to block out the ambionic disruption. Really tune things out in order to focus and hone in on your craft, because right now it's your craft. It's a business of you. More often I talk to players and I say, look, this is a business of you. If you don't take this seriously, then unfortunately they're not going to take you seriously. Do you believe that you've done everything that you can do at this point, at this level, so that way NFL coaches will talk to you and they'll discuss things with you and say, are you prepared to get to the next level? What would your answer be?
Yes, sir.
That'd be a yes. That's good. That's good. No, you probably, if they ask you that, you're going to say, yes, sir. That's it. That's the story. The way you look at them, the way you convey the message, the way you distribute, who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, I'm sure will all come through moving forward in this process. Of course, the NFL draft is less than 30 days away. Actually, it's about 30 days away. Let's go back to Stillman College. That was kind of an interesting stint because you started there, you're a 3-year starter, which meant you prepared and were prepared to excel. However, due to circumstances beyond your own personal control, you were forced out due to the closing of the school's athletic program. I've done hundreds of these interviews. I've talked to hundreds of players, and when I listen to this, it almost brings this sadness cloud over anybody and everybody who's a part of the athletic program itself to say, well, what do we do now? Where do we go? That's extremely unfortunate. Was this something that you've seen coming down the pipeline, or was it something that was very unexpected?
It's a bit of both, because at the beginning of the season, you had, coaches, or you might have heard like certain faculty and staff, the rumors going around that, hey, the program might be ending, things of that sort. But as a coach, I can kind of understand that. As a coach, Coach Teddy Keating, he was trying to, block that out of our minds. So he was like always assuring us, you don't have to worry about this, and we're going to be here, things of that sort. So we were kind of torn in between the two. And then all of a sudden, we had like an athletic meeting or whatever with all the different sports. They were telling us, they came and they announced us, the athletics director announced us that they would be ending the program. And when I mean to tell you that hundreds of student athletes were just, flabbergasted. They didn't know what to think because no one was prepared for that.
Well, you never are. I mean, there may be rumors floating around and someone said this or someone said that, but it isn't something that's expected. I certainly didn't expect it when I read about it. I said, wait a minute, this is a closure. This is huge. Now, what happens to their athletic program? It goes kaput. There's nothing left in it, so then everybody who's a part of it transfers over to clearly other campuses, other athletic programs. But you found out that based on due diligence, which paid off for you, you found yourself at Arkansas Tech. You played various positions at Stillman, but at Arkansas Tech, were you able to determine that sometimes situations do happen at Stillman, and did you gather that something like that could occur at Arkansas Tech as well?
Not really. I didn't think that would happen there, honestly.
Were you able to determine sometimes something like this happens?
Yes, I understand that completely, that thing like that happened because I think the year before that, UAB had closed, and all of those players had to go through the same thing that we did. So that kind of helped me throughout the process, knowing that a lot of these other guys were able to go on to other schools and further their careers, and so that gave me hope. That gave me hope and assurance that I would be able to do the same.
Well, hopefully so, and you certainly did just that. Now, I understand that Stillman and Arkansas Tech are obviously different schools, but were there many differences? I mean, there's an Arkansas Tech system that was different than the Stillman system, or was there any similarities that you found you were able to pick up on sooner rather than later at Arkansas Tech?
Well, honestly, there was a major difference in my opinion, because at Stillman, we had a pretty good football team, but we were the school wasn't nowhere near as big as Arkansas Tech was. At Stillman, I was coming from a school with at one point I believe it might have been maybe 1,000 students, and then I get up to Arkansas Tech and it's 17,000, second or third largest school in Arkansas, and so that in itself was a huge difference. And then at Arkansas Tech as well, we had various amounts of resources. We had 2 weight rooms, all types of different training facilities, all the things that I didn't lack, that I didn't have at Stillman.
Wow, so all these advantages, all the weight room, it was a bigger place, there was more things to do. But the struggle in of itself, despite all those advancements, was a struggle trying to become familiar with the system in general. What issues did you have getting acclimated to their processes that you didn't have at Stillman?
Well, at my size, a lot of time on this level of football, on that level of football, you might have a guy like myself who has, great size or whatever. But the thing that happens in this conference, or not this conference, but this division, is you get a guy who's athletic, and they might be bigger than your typical DB. So then, coaches want to try and change your position and things of that sort. And so my first semester at Arkansas Tech during the spring, I had to deal with, trying to play several different positions. And then in that and with that being said, the guy who recruited me up there to Arkansas Tech was Riley Jackson. He was the head defensive coordinator there. After, I believe, 2 weeks, of me being there, he left and went to Delta State. And so, that in itself, I didn't really have, anyone to kind of really just teach me the basics of their defense. And so I was hearing one thing from this coach and one thing from this coach, and this coach wanted me to play this position, and this coach wanted me to play that position. And so there was a lot going on, you know, with that being said in itself. And on top of that, having to adjust to their school, their curriculum at that school as well. It was just a major culture shock.
I bet it was. Nothing's easy. Nothing comes easy when you're talking about moving from one system to another. It's almost as if, and what it sounds like to me, it is a night and day type situation for you. But you found your way through it. I was watching some of your film, and I think to myself, it's coachability. Now, when I think of coachability, I mean things that you can learn at the next level that come easy to you instead of being harder to learn and harder to adapt to. When you talk about coachability, what does that mean to you?
Being able to take criticism and take coaching and be able to go out and show what you've learned and present your talents and things of that sort on the field, being able to execute the plan. That's what I believe coachability is, and being able to take criticism.
Well, sometimes criticism can be constructive, sometimes it can be destructive, and that can affect someone's mindset, someone's passion, someone's idea of being able to move forward in the process, not so much, and can be more of a disabler than anything else. Was there any type of negative criticism that you received? Do you believe that it was meant as constructive? And if so, how were you able to interpret it?
I mean, well, I won't go into detail, but I mean, you're going to receive, you know, negative criticism, you know, anywhere you are. I mean, that's just part of the game. Coaches want to see where you are mentally. I mean, so, you know, everywhere I've been, you know, as long as I played sports, I've dealt with, you know, coaches saying negative things about me, you know, that normal person might crack under. But, you know, me, I'm a mentally tough person, so words really can't affect me. And, you know, unfortunately, I've had some great coaches, like Coach Steve Steeser. You know, he was a great coach that I had up there at Arkansas Tech. And, you know, once Coach Jackson left, he came over as the co-defensive coordinator, and, you know, he taught me a lot about the game. That was one of the main differences between Arkansas Tech and Stillman, was I learned so much more versus at Stillman. You know, I was really, you know, I was playing off talent, you know, a lot of just raw talent versus, you know, having the exact specifics of how I should do one thing one way versus another way. And so with that, the combination of construction and criticism, you know, that helped me a lot, and it's continuing to make me a better player every day.
It has to. And look, despite all the negative things, despite all the negative conversations, athletes get talked about, you know, about this all the time. It's allowing the words to mean little, because what happens if you allow them to become a reality, it affects your emotional state as well. So then you're taking what someone says verbally, that interpretation to your emotional side, saying, well, am I good enough? Can I make it to the next level? Look, coaches, scouts, general managers, Jalen Williams-Luke is a hybrid guy. He's a solid player. He's a showstopper. He's not the flashiest guy on the field, but he's effective. And what means when a player is effective means that he's effective on the field, attributing to teammates while he's on the sidelines, and a positive catalyst in the locker room. So don't pass on Jalen Williams-Luke. Just don't. Stop ahead of your tracks. Readjust your draft bracket. Lord knows you got to take over for the March Madness bracket that was shattered in bits and pieces this past weekend. What conversations have you had with NFL teams at this point in the process that you believe adds to the positive under construction mindset for Jalen Williams-Luke?
So far, the teams that I've spoken with, you know, they all love my film. Their main concern was that, you know, the level of talent that I played against. But one thing that I have on my side is that they may not know, you know, I played in the Senior Bowl down in Daytona. And, you know, down there, you know, I was fortunate enough to start over, guys they claim, may have been at, better schools, higher division schools. And so that was one thing. And we were playing against, premier talent. This is a senior bowl. This isn't, just a regular conference game and everything of that sort. So these are the best players from, the best schools, per se. And so that was one thing. And then while at Stillman, another thing that I had, on my side was, we didn't just play against, Division II teams or, things like that. So we played against Division I teams, actually. Like we played against Samford University, Alabama State. I was fortunate enough to play against Tyreek Hill, who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs right now. He transferred from Oklahoma State to West Alabama. And so I played against a good amount of talent. And so I feel like that's one thing that's going to help me throughout this whole process, as far as being evaluated by scouts and things of that sort. That's one thing that's really talked to me about scouts so far.
I think that's going to prove to your advantage in the long run, in all fairness, because what that does is it gives you positive reinforcement. It also lets you know that, look, I need to continually do my absolute best and excel. Not only get in the locker room, but be someone that can be looked up to. Because in the NFL, a lot of kids, and there are thousands upon millions of kids that are watching the NFL and watching the players, but they see all the negative things. They're not really focused in because news and media, unfortunately, a lot of the time, unlike the Rude Dog Show, talk about the negative things. There are a handful of shows out there that I know personally. I've either been on their show or listened to their show. They talk about the reality type situations. Do you recognize that these kids are watching you at the next level, and what does that mean to you?
That means a great deal to me because one of my dreams, my dreams and aspirations of making it to the NFL isn't just to play ball, but I want to be someone that people in my community in my city can look up to. And they can say that, hey, this guy made it, from what many may see as, rough circumstances, coming from a small school, coming from, a 1 year, high school career, things of that sort. And so that's one of the main things that I want to do is just be someone that can help out my community and be used and be looked upon as an inspiration for others to go out and, pursue their dreams.
That's really what it's about. You sum that up so well, Jalen, because a lot of times character is something that's missing in the NFL. I talk about that all the time on the Rude Dog Show. I speak on it consistently because at the end of the day, whether you take your helmet off or whether you're the Gatorade boy, whatever capacity you're a part of on an NFL team, whether you're a coach, position coach, or what have you, it's about character. Character shows in different ways. It shows in action. It shows in through the follow-up to that action and more action to ensue. Are there any changes in your mindset coming from a collegiate level that you believe will translate well onto an NFL roster?
As far as my mindset changing, I've had the same mindset ever since, high school. When my coach told me, hey, you have the chance to be special. And so, for the most part, I feel like me being the guy I am, I'm going to stay focused, and I feel like that my will and my intestinal fortitude is going to keep me, if not, right along with everyone else, but above them, because I'm always striving to get better. I'm always striving to pursue my teammates to get better, and I feel like that is going to be something that's going to be very, advantageous, on the next level.
Well, we always have to worry about the next level. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to play? How am I going to handle this situation, that situation? And again, we talk about characteristics. We talk about the types of play that happens on a collegiate level and how that should very well translate over into the NFL. Look, when you were a younger athlete, it was easy to become persuaded because of all the plethora of distractions that surrounded you. And sometimes young players do not have the advantage, such as yourself, of having a mentor to bounce ideas off of and to be there when things aren't so great. much less be a part of their life for an extended amount of time. What was it like to not only have Otis Leverett around for over 6 years, but what was it like having him to help push you from a mentality standpoint to keep yourself grounded in the next process of your life?
Well, one thing I have to say about Otis Leverett, I feel like he is someone that everyone in their life should at least have a 10-minute conversation with, because this coach, he's just so, he's a genuine person, and he has a niche for tearing you down and building you back up. He's always preaching, just being selfless, and Coach O, I can't say enough. I mean, I respect him so much. It's just what he's done for me so far at this point in my life. I'm just speechless right now. I can't even,
In other words, he means a lot to you. He's done a lot for you. He's been there through the ups, the downs, the bads, the goods, things that you don't really hear about. No one talks about how they have a mentor. You know what? Again, very fortunate indeed to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, to be a rock for you to rely on when things, again, aren't so well. But then when things are great and super, then they're the ones that help keep you grounded, saying, look, this is just one game. Let's focus on the rest of the season. Let's focus on any given situation that you may find yourself in, because the more grounded you are, the sense of humility that you have for yourself, you can carry those actions into doing other things that are beneficial for other people around you. I was supposed to take a commercial break here, and I'm really trying to find a way to do that. I'm having technical problems here. Unfortunately, I don't have any commercials. I do have 3 sponsors I need to pay homage to. These guys have been the groundwork to help the Rude Dog Show become what it is, other than just being on air. I guess, with the mic in front of you, you have the ability to have the soapbox, if you will, and clearly guys like Jalen Williams, Luke, has the opportunity to do so. That's what we're doing here on the Rude Dog Show. Let me talk about 3 things. First, when you mention talent, a guy who understands talent, who's certainly turned that talent around, become more talented, creating things such as, well, you should know who I'm talking about. That's JohnMalecki.com. He can certainly turn your furniture dreams into a reality. He can make anything with wood. It's not a could, it's a wood. It's JohnMalecki.com. With wood on the mind. Of course, you can always look at sedetgumil.us, who is the vitamin sponsor. I don't know many vitamin sponsors, but Sedetgumil more often than not will hold the best vitamins you'll find to help boost, maximize your ability to excel on the field. And the vitamin supplier to 2-time Gold Glove winner, Starling Marte, of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Of course, Starling Marte, part of a huge loss in that World Baseball Classic against the United States. That was a fantastic game. I could probably relive that every single moment, and not on the winning side, but nevertheless, baseball is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. So go check out sedetgumil.us. That can take your boost to the next level. And of course, Anthony Gilbert, an agent who not only wants to change the minds of athletes from what agents are like in the interim, but what they are like on the extension of who they are, being able to help you in all things from getting drafted to financial planning. Of course, more often than not, Jalen, this may be something you may not be aware of, but more often than not, guys who exit the NFL after 3 years file bankruptcy. Well, that's a sad statistic, because they're not managing their money properly, or maybe the person they have in charge of their money isn't doing it properly or correctly. Go check out new-game-plan.com. Anthony Gilbert, fantastic guy, and sponsor here on the Rude Dog Show. Well, they all are. Anthony Gilbert is the man. So thank you, Anthony, for sponsoring the Rude Dog Show. Always looking for more sponsors. Of course, I'm in the works of something very big. It may take a little bit of time, but I'm working with at least mentally trying to, I'm waiting for a reply from American Airlines. So if I get that, that'll be huge from a sponsorship standpoint. So anyway, check out sponsors at RudDogShow.com/sponsors. Look at all the wonderful sponsors. And of course, I have Celebrity Squared, who's certainly going to take this to the next level as one of my sponsors. Go visit CelebritySquared.com now. Download the app, and it's going to be online a lot sooner than later. So let's get back into this. Welcome back to the show. Jalen Williams-Luke, this guy's a hybrid. He can do anything you need him to. He's very athletic. He's well-versed. He understands that what he has been doing will translate into the NFL very well, and I agree with him. Would that be fair to say, Jalen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yes, sir.
Look, we're going to talk about a little bit more as you decided to put your ink on paper as you received a full scholarship to play football. That's a huge commitment. I don't think that it's stated enough, and I believe that it's very well understated, because once you commit, once you sign your name, it's kind of like a car note or a home note or anything else that has substantial impact on you as a person. You sign a football scholarship. What went through your mind laying the ink down on that piece of paper?
Well, the first thing that crossed my mind was I did it because, I had numerous doubters telling me that, with 1 year of high school football at Ramsey High School, that you would not be able to go to school and play football on scholarship. So that in itself was an accomplishment for me. But, that wasn't, that wasn't what I was after. I was after something bigger than that. I wanted to go to the next level. I knew that I had a lot of work to put in. So that's kind of what crossed my mind as soon as, I signed that paper.
What personal commitment did you make while you were signing it?
What personal commitment did I? Well, honestly, I just knew that, that me signing that scholarship was my opportunity to achieve my goals. And so I said that, no matter what happened, I was going to do what I did to get to this point and even more, so that way I can get to the next level.
Were there any defining moments, or lack of a better term, epiphanies that assisted to keep you on track from a personal standpoint to be able to succeed and get to where you were, and I believe where you're going to, albeit the NFL?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good to know. I think NFL teams out there would be very well suited to not only pull Jalen in for a conversation. I love having Jalen Williams here on the Rude Dog Show today. Look, download the app. It's a great way to communicate, as well as the Gen Service Hotline, 216-539-9967. That's 216-539-9967. Call in. You can ask Jalen a question in regards to where he's headed in this process and how he feels about the process overall at this point. Let's discuss your athletic lineage. We had touched on it earlier in the show, but I want to talk about things that you consider to be like in both your mom and your dad. Sometimes we feel unnecessarily pressured from athletic parents to excel and surpass where they had maxed out on from a collegiate level or maybe even a pro level. Your mom, Jonah Williams-Luke, played collegiate basketball at the University of Alabama, and your dad, Albert Luke, who too played athletic sports, but he chose college football as his drug of choice, so to speak, at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Was there any personal pressure to excel past your parents' collegiate careers at any point in this process?
From my parents, no. My parents, they always, gave me free will to be able to make my own decisions and decide what I wanted to do. Now, with that being said, they may have been, other friends and, other people I crossed paths with and saying, hey, your parents did this, they were looking at me to, one up them. But as far as my parents, especially my dad, me to do. He was saying that, hey, you know, as I got to my senior year, he was saying, hey, you have to make a decision. You know, you can't play, you know, all three sports and, you know, and be, you know, as great as you want to be. So I narrowed my decision down to basketball and football. Other than that, I mean, he always gave me the decision to decide what I want to do as far as sports or where I want to go. Even in the transferring process, I mean, that decision was all on me and my parents. You know, they really didn't have, you know, any say so in that. I mean, they gave their opinions, but the decision was ultimately mine.
Was that something that you easily found yourself into? I mean, were they open to giving you the decision process to say, look, Jalen, this is up to you? It seemed as though there was more of the reinforcement behind your decision than trying to force a decision on you.
Yes. Basically, I was told that the decision was on me. The only advice they gave me was to make sure that you put into consideration all aspects of it, as far as, you know, the school's curriculum, the distance, things of that sort. But other than that, the decision was ultimately mine.
Did you feel as though at any given point you had made the wrong decision?
Well, actually, for that whole semester, you know, with all the things that I was going through, as far as, you know, trying to adjust to that lifestyle up there and things of that sort, for a second I did think that I had made the wrong decision, because a lot of things just weren't going my way at first. But you know, I stayed at home that summer. I prayed about it, and I decided to go ahead and go back and finish that thing out, because I'm not one to quit. I don't believe in, you know, walking out on opportunities and things of that sort. So, you know, I just decided I was going to stick it out, and fortunately, you know, ended up panning out pretty well for me, because I was able to get invited to the Senior Bowl down in Destin, Florida.
I think you made the best decision also. We can always go back and look at, or I have, look back and say, man, did I do this right? Did I make the right decision? Did I make the right call? And when you're younger, it's easy to second guess yourself. It really is.
Yes, sir.
And we can find our way through the muck, if you will. And sometimes we have to find our way through the bad to get to the good, the naysayers to get to the positive ones, the positive situations. But it didn't translate well, because you didn't find yourself on a high end defensively right off the bat. You found a way to create it, because the hybrid mentality came to pass. Your senior season was a time where you felt that a niche was starting to form, which helps find your identity in a skilled position, albeit strong safety and or linebacker position, respectfully. When you look back at where you've been and what you've learned, what aspects to your game do you believe will make you diverse in the NFL?
Diverse. Well, for one, you know, I'm pretty great at covering for the most part. I mean, I have no problem covering, you know, a tight end or a running back or even a slot receiver, because I've done that, you know, throughout all my years in college. On top of that, what I feel, you know, many guys many defensive backs in the NFL lacking is tackling. I'm a sure tackler. I don't miss many tackles, and I'm 100% comfortable playing in the box. And so with that being said, you know, I feel like that's a great thing. It's going to add to my arsenal on the next level. And another thing that I believe I'm very great in is I'm very, very skilled in shedding blocks. I mean, it's not many times where I get, you know, just blocked by, whether it be an offensive tackle or running back or anything. That I had one coach named Russell Rivers for a whole semester. All we worked on was shedding blocks and different types of ways to avoid contact and things like that, avoid, you know, getting your hands put on you and things of that sort. So that's one thing I feel like I'm very good in. And what many players, you know, they shy away from is special teams. I take pride in playing on special teams. I don't mind, you know, being on kick return, punt return, kickoff, punting. I've done it all. So I feel like that's going to be something that's going to add great value to me on someone's team on the next level.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I looked a lot of your film, and what I noticed is that you have the the undying ability, excuse me, to continue on the play. And you don't stop on it. You don't stop on it until the play's dead, the whistle's blown, and everything is done. And I look back at your year as well, against South Nazarene, Arkansas, Monticello, Southern Arkansas, Ouachita Baptist, East Central, Southeastern Oklahoma, Northwestern Oklahoma, and Harding. You've definitely did everything you needed to. 9 assisted tackles, 4 solo tackles as well. You had half a yard tackle for loss. So 13 total sacks. Certainly a lot to be desired heading into the next level when you look at where you've been to up until now. And you have a niche in a hybrid role. I can see it. I don't know how that will translate to an NFL roster, but I can tell you this much, coaches, GMs, you better be listening, because this is a very interesting fact in of itself, is that if you grab Jalen Williams-Luke, pick him up, UDFA, doesn't matter. You will find out that he is probably one of the best hybrid players out there, and I'm talking in any division. Because blood, sweat, and tears doesn't matter where it's from, doesn't matter what college you're playing on, doesn't matter what division you're playing on. If you don't look at Jalen Williams-Luke, you're missing the boat. You're missing the boat. The guy can cover. He's athletic. As you can tell, he's very well spoken. He's passionate about what he does, his game, and how he's been able to excel and continually, in the offseason, able to do what he needs to do to get to the next level. End of story. So the infamous question here, Jalen, is why does an NFL team need someone such as you on their roster?
Because I'm going to bring that passion that they may not have. I'm going to make everyone on the team better. My ultimate goal is to win the championship, whatever level that I'm on. And I'm going to do anything that I can in my power to get that goal achieved.
When we talk about off-season work, everybody has their own. Some people it's 2 days. Some people it's just throwing tires one day and do the physical things one day, and then the next day it's all cardio. I understand you've been dedicated to further refining your skill set continually better. There's always room for improvement. I've talked to Hall of Famers. They've said the very same thing. But that translation to me is this. You've given yourself the greatest chance to make it into the NFL. You've been training nonstop 6 days a week since January. And I have to ask you, what types of workouts have been a part of your process that you believe will separate you from somebody else in this upcoming draft?
Well, I've been doing speed training at least 3 days a week. Speed training with my trainer, Otis Leverett. We do everything that you can think of as far as it goes from running, cardio, working on your core. We do football drills as far as working on your hips, working on your knee drive, your stride length. We do things that test your mental toughness, such as you may do a crazy amount of running or something like that, and then as soon as we get done with that, we're working on detail-oriented workouts as far as where you have to maybe like shuffle to the right or turn a certain way and things of that sort. And so this offseason, I've tested my body mentally and physically, and I feel like that in itself, it has been a great help and will continue to be a great help, because I don't plan, even after the draft, I don't plan on stopping, not one day.
I hope you enjoy the journey you're on right now, because a lot of players, and a very small percentage that come from any given school to play in the NFL is 2%. That's very small. It's very minuscule.
Yes, sir.
Now, you've done a lot of flexible workouts. You're very versatile. You've attended NFL Regional Combine. You've Conference Pro Day, several CFL workouts. I look for you to continue your professional career in the NFL. I know there's a CFL, I know there's an IFL and any other FL that's out there, but I believe that you can exceed your own expectations at that level. Now, I know that it may not be a reality to some, but if you get a chance to play in the CFL, that's film. That's time on a CFL team that you'd be able to take back with you to get into an NFL system. Why should an NFL team contact you over anybody else?
Because I'm a genuine hard worker. I bring what's the word I'm looking for? I bring confidence to the team. I bring swagger. I'm a hard working guy, and that's not going to change. And I plan on, encouraging my teammates, my future teammates, and everyone on the staff, from the trainers and everyone, to be the greatest that they can be. I'm not satisfied with mediocrity. I want everyone around me to be great. And that's why I feel they should contact me over anyone else. And with me going through what I've gone through, such as deaths in the family, and having my school closing, and all these other different types of trials and tribulations. I mean, I feel like that would show them that there's nothing that's going to stop me from achieving my goals and what I want to do in life, and that's making it into the league and winning a championship on the team, not just making it.
Sound like you're on the right track. Sound like you're onto something that NFL draftees such as yourself are also aspiring to do. But what makes it different, like I said earlier in the show, I've interviewed a plethora of guys in all given positions, from guards to quarterbacks, defense, corners, safeties, inside linebackers, outside linebackers. I think that you have the most candid type of answers I think I've ever heard, meaning that your humility, your level-headedness, you being grounded, your ability to understand what's at stake and what it takes to get to the next level will help you. Getting to the next level is not easy. Nobody ever said it was. But the steps you've taken to get to that point, certainly an NFL team needs to look at. Bottom line. So GMs, coaches, scouts, listen to the interview. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show with Jalen Williams-Luke. The guy is a hybrid. I like hybrids myself. I don't drive a hybrid, but if you want a hybrid on your team, that's better than any hybrid car you can ever find. Jalen Williams-Luke will show you what he's made of down after down, game after game, inside the locker room, outside the locker room, on the field, in the community. This guy can do it. I believe in him. So should you. Jalen, hey, thank you so much for taking your time out to talk to me here on the show. This will be podcasted on the RudeDogShow.com. It'll be on SoundCloud. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for taking an hour out for me.
No, thank you. This was a great experience, and I look forward to speaking with you once I make it to the next level. We're not going to leave anything to doubt.
Let me know. I'd love to have you back on the show to see where you're at. I love doing this for every guy. Post where was I interview. If you were to get a call from an NFL team, describe to me how you would feel by that call.
I feel like that's one of those situations where you have to be in to really, to really explain it. But I would feel like, I wouldn't get too excited unless it's only one step. The final step is, making that 53-man roster. But with that being said in itself, I would be very ecstatic and, knowing that, some of my hard work is paid off. And so, with that being said, I would at least know that, I have a legit chance, at being on someone's roster and being in that locker room. So, I would be very happy, if I were to get, be contacted by some NFL team.
Well, I can tell you this much. You deserve to be contacted. You really do. I mean, based on your numbers, based on talking to you. Look, NFL teams will do the very same thing. They're going to grill you. They're going to stick a spotlight over your head, and they're going to say, okay, Jalen, who is your daddy and what does he do? They'll have that type of conversation. Maybe not in that tone. they're gonna sit you down and grill you. So this part of the process is a very small part compared to the other larger part of this process, which is being taken by an NFL team. So Jalen, thank you so much. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. I tell it to all the players, and some have taken me up on it, and some, haven't.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you again. Yes, sir.
No problem.
Yes, sir. Thank you again for the opportunity. And this was really, really, really great opportunity for me, and I'm really appreciative of it.
Hey, you're welcome. It's not a problem. It's what I do. Like I've said here on the show before, guys like yourself need to have a voice. People need to know who these guys are. They're no different than anybody at the Division I level. You heard it himself. Coaches have already told him he can get to the next level. He's playing at against lower leveled opponents. Not to say that they're not good, but when you're great, you do great things. Coaches recognize that. They do this every single year. All year long. They live, breathe, eat, sleep, shower, football. It's what they do. So if somebody recognizes Jalen Williams-Luke as a talent, so should you. I do. And there's quality here on the Rude Dog Show, and this is one step in that process. Jalen, thank you so much. We will talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You have a blessed day.
You as well. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Jalen Williams-Luke, offensive. This guy, outside linebacker, strong safety. You put him in the nickel. You put him in any position you want, the guy will come true and be true to the process. Pick him up. Call him. Contact his agent, Scott Bergman. Call him. Get a private workout. This guy is a beast. He's a hard worker. He's solid. He's connected from end to end. His mindset is solid. His reality is solid as well. You heard it himself. Says, well, I'm not sure how that would feel. I'm not in that process yet. That's probably the best answer I've ever heard. And you know what? That's the honest answer. Until you've been there, you don't know what it's like. But thank you, everybody, for coming, for listening, for tuning in to the Rude Dog Show. My hour is up, but thank you again. We'll see you tomorrow. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show at WBLZSports.com.